Hey, Jeev, why don't you tell us about yourself?
I'm a Sikh. I was born and raised in Mexico City. Now I'm working full time in New York. I just graduated from college, Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, and studying computer science and mathematics.
Once in a while when I was younger, I'd get questions like, "Oh, what are you?" What like those type of questions. Do you see that more in America? Do you see that more in Mexico? Or is it the same? Like, how is like the overall awareness of Sikhi
Yeah.
compared between the two countries?
In Mexico City, at least, a lot of people do ask me about like why I have a bug on, why I look the way that I do. But a lot of those questions, you can tell they're motivated very much by curiosity more than anything else. So I've never felt like offended or anything by that.
Right.
Whenever they ask questions, I like love to engage and sort of explain my faith and whatever I can to them. In the U.S., I think a lot of times you get that same curiosity, but sometimes I think because people are a little bit worried about being politically correct, they hold off from asking those questions as well. And they sort of just ignore it. And then when it comes up, maybe they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that." Whenever like I if I casually bring up something about my bug in conversation, then they'll be like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that," and then they're willing to ask questions. But it's a lot more like you have to make them comfortable.
So how do you feel like Sikhi has shaped your life?
In my mind, I think there's sort of like two main ways that Sikhi has shaped my life. Firstly, because of the teachings that I've learned from the gurus and from reading Bani, I've become more introspective as a person, just sort of looking into my own mind and think and like meditating and sort of thinking about the conditioning that I have gone through in my life, like things that I've been told, things that I've been taught that I kind of take for granted, and also just sort of recognizing my ego, knowing that I have it, knowing that everyone has it, and sort of learning to navigate that. In high school, middle school, it was like a little bit difficult because sometimes it's like bullying and things of that nature. But I think slowly over time, looking different and walking into a room and having like people stare at you, it becomes like a position of strength, right? Like
Yeah.
you become more comfortable looking different from people, and it just becomes like a very valuable thing. Like you're not worried about people looking at you a certain way. You're able to speak your mind more, and I think in that ways it's like definitely shaped my life for the better.
I mean, everybody experiences, being nervous in a crowd and wondering whether people like them or not. But it's a little like different for us because we're always sticking out, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I
you can talk
totally
about
get it.
people's
Yeah.
stereotypes. Yeah, definitely.
What values of Sikhi do you feel like helped empower you throughout your life? And you can tell it with a story, or you could just kind of list specific values that you think.
Something that sticks out in my mind. There's like a walkway at our university
Yeah.
that you kind of just go from like I live on the end of the walkway, and then it's like a 5-10 minute walk. There's like a lot of trees and a lot of people walking around usually, and then
Yeah.
at the end of that it's like the classrooms. And I just remember one specific day where it like tied my bug, and I don't know, for some reason that day I was feeling a little bit like less secure, feeling like a little insecure about my image or whatever.
Yeah.
And as I started walking down, I saw a lot of people, and it was just a lot of thoughts kept popping into my head, like, oh, they're staring at me, I look different, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are like common thoughts. But on this day specifically, for some reason, I remember it. And I remember sort of thinking about like, what can I do to sort of battle this? Because I mean, I had started to think about it as just thoughts, like nothing other than thoughts. And so then I sort of tried doing Simran to get that out of my mind.
Yeah.
That helped. And then slowly as I was walking like closer to my classroom, I had less thoughts, and I could like visibly see a change in my mood. And then after that, I just started thinking to like our history, because there are so many warriors and people who gave their lives to protect not only our values but the values of others, and that's like something very to be very proud of.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just with that in mind, I sort of started to feel better, because like at my university there aren't very many other Sikh students, and so it's like easy to feel like an odd one out. But for some reason I really remember that one day walk, but I sort of apply those every day now.
Sikhi is a big part of your life. What kind of things are you doing in your, what kind of things did you do in college within the Sikh, greater Sikh community in that area? Did you have any activities you particularly did? Was there an SSA?
We had a pretty active Bhangra team on campus, and I found that really interesting. Actually, before I joined college, I never would dance like I would run away from the dance floor at like weddings and stuff. This is just not my thing.
Yeah.
But after joining Carnegie Mellon, I sort of met people on the team and sort of just it was more about the people than anything else, just getting to know them and then dancing with them, learning a lot more about my culture that way. Because even though Bhangra is like completely cultural, it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with the religion. Just tying in the cultural elements and then helping whoever's on the team and curious about Punjabi culture and Sikhism, like helping them see the difference between our religion and our culture and sort of how they tie into each other. That was definitely one of the major ways that I tried to engage with Sikhi on campus and with the students on campus.
And I don't know if this was mentioned earlier. You are a software engineer, correct?
Yeah, I'm a software engineer.
And so what are your like long-term goals with, career goals?
I think it's pretty common in the world today to see a lot of people who, once they become successful and make a lot of money, sort of let it get out of hand and lose touch with the world. Bani has a lot of like tools that are meant to be used so that you can live in the world and among everyone while engaging in like career and everything, but also stay grounded and like stay humble, keep your ego in check. And so I guess my personal career goals all are to excel in my career, hopefully like either in terms of entrepreneurship and building a company or something of that sort. But in doing so, not lose sight of, or not be lose my footing, stay grounded and keep my ego in check and keep doing whatever I'm doing for the right reasons. Make sure that whatever I'm doing is actually beneficial.
So do you think like cultural literacy or some knowledge about different faith traditions are important in the world today?
With so many different religions, there's just so much wisdom built up over like thousands of years in each of them. And I don't think it makes sense to dismiss any one religion or not invest the time to learn from them, because just out of some like previously conceived like notion that religion is a certain way or this wisdom is a certain way.
Right.
I think it's worth exploring, definitely. And then for me, I just like getting deep into it and sort of finding similarities between religions and just sort of seeing how different like gurus or prophets sort of got to those understanding, like how did they get to the understanding of ego, or how did they get to the understanding of meditation is going to help you with that. And that's just something that I like to do because it sort of rounds out understanding of like what are like universal truths, and then what have our gurus like sort of guided us to like go beyond that.
What are the three things that you want, your peers, friends, or even just random people to know about Sikhism? What are the three most important things you think?
One of the main things that I would want my friends and everyone to know is that as a Sikh, like I and all other Sikhs will always strive to fight to like uphold people's values and equity, like equality across the world. And that's something that's like we've done historically very well, being the people who will protect the weak or the people who don't have anyone fighting for them. But something that I think has lost, like people don't know it about us as much anymore. I guess second would be like the meaning of Sikh is like a student, right? Like learning. And I would want my peers to know that I'm always trying to learn, always open to discussion or discourse. So that would, I think, would be number two. Number three is sort of just make them aware of like mine and sort of everyone, a lot of Sikh people, our internal battle with our ego, just so that they know that we're always striving for improvement in that way. That's like our form of self-development.
I don't really have any more questions. Do you have any questions for me, I guess?